General Assembly in September, Australia will recognise the state of Palestine. Australia will recognise the right of the Palestinian people to a state of their own.
The government of Spain will approve the official recognition of Palestine as a state.
Breaking news just coming in. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced that France will formally recognize Palestine as a state. In a statement on X, Macron said, "In keeping with its historic commitment to a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, I have decided that France will recognize the state of Palestine. I will make a formal announcement to this effect at the United Nations General Assembly in September."
Europe moves to recognize Palestine. In just the last 2 weeks, 22 countries, including Germany, France, the UK, and Canada, have come together to condemn Israel for blocking food and water from reaching people in Gaza. France's President Emmanuel Macron is leading the group. They're now pushing hard to recognize Palestine as its own country.
Listen up, because you're all going to want to pay attention to this. Pre-9/11, the U.S. was given several warnings by a man named Ahmad Massoud, leader, commander of the Afghan National Resistance Front. Those warnings stated that there was an imminent terrorist attack that was going to happen on U.S. soil. And his warnings were completely ignored by the administration at the time. And we all know how that ended. It ended with the World Trade Center falling to the ground, killing thousands and thousands of Americans, putting us in a 20-plus year war. Now, Massoud was assassinated 2 days before 9/11. And he's survived by his son, also Ahmad Massoud, who's following in a parallel pattern of his father's footsteps. Also, now the leader of the Afghan National Resistance Front. And Massoud is once again warning the United States that there is an imminent threat for a terrorist attack to take place once again right here on U.S. soil. And once again, his warnings are falling on deaf ears and being completely ignored. In fact, his D.C. blacklisted him from coming to the U.S. And so SRS has taken action. We've created a petition. The link is below in the description. And I urge every veteran who fought in the global war on terrorism to sign that petition. And if you have a family member who fought in that war, sign the petition. And if you're a citizen who's concerned that what Massoud is telling us is actually true and there is an imminent attack, I urge you to sign the petition. Who is chairman of the House of Foreign Affairs Committee. He's over the State Department. He can get Massoud in front of Congress so Congress can hear what that man has to say about these threats. This is in all of our best interest.
September 10th, 2001, the day before 9/11, the U.S. Army released an intelligence report that said that the Zionists were pros at carrying out terrorist acts that made it appear that it was done by Arabs. Wake up, Americans. You're about to be pulled into a war with the Muslim world, and you're going to be made to believe that something horrible that happened to you was done by the Muslims. But it wasn't done by the Muslims. It was done by a wild card, the Israeli Mossad, that's cunning and ruthless and can carry out attacks on Americans and make it look like Arabs did it. That's not my conspiracy theory. That's the U.S. Army report.
The day before, published the day before 9/11.
You can call me any name you want to call me. That's a U.S. Army report. They warned us. They were telling us what Israel is capable of doing.
I'm wondering how long it will be before we see a terrorist attack in America. And I'm wondering if, coinciding with that terrorist attack, we will see the return of ISIS. I don't know if you guys notice how quiet ISIS seems to have been when all of this stuff is going on with Palestine. Watch this space.
Islamic terrorism was invented by Zionist intellectuals. In particular, the first place this had a major public showing for the first time was a conference in 1984 in Washington, D.C., organised by a certain Benjamin Netanyahu. And the idea there, this is one of the earliest appearances of the idea, was that there's a specifically Muslim form of terrorism, that Muslims are particularly predisposed towards terrorism. Well, so because the Zionists had to push out the Palestinians in order to create a Jewish state, they had to be anti-Palestinian and they had to be anti-Arab. And as a result of that, they also, because the Palestinians are mostly Muslim, not all Muslim, but it's mostly Muslim, they also had to be anti-Muslim.